Title: The Last Shift. Jason had been working at the GameStop in his small town for 3 years. It was a quiet place, nestled between a dying mall and an old movie theater, and the highlight of most shifts was chatting with customers about the latest releases. But lately something felt off. The store had recently received a shipment of used games and consoles. Among them was a dusty, unmarked box that had caught Jason's attention. He pulled it from the shelf, noticing it was heavier than it looked. The label read, "Do not open." But curiosity got the better of him. After all, it was just a box of old games. That night during his shift, Jason opened it. Inside were several vintage games, each one looking strangely pristine. He held up a cartridge labeled Eternal Night, its colors almost glowing. Intrigued, he decided to plug it into the store's old console. As the screen flickered to life, an unsettling chill washed over him. The game began with a pixelated landscape of a darkened city. The music was haunting, a melody that wormed its way into his mind. As he played, he felt an unshakable sensation that someone, or something, was watching him. Dismissing it as paranoia, he immersed himself deeper into the game. Hours passed and the store grew dimmer, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. Jason glanced at the clock. It was nearing midnight. Just then, the console emitted a strange noise. A static crackle followed by a voice that echoed in the room, soft and sinister. "You should never have opened it." Jason's heart raced. He looked around, half expecting a customer to emerge from the shadows. The store was empty, but the feeling of being watched intensified. He turned back to the screen, where the game had changed. Now the pixelated cityscape was filled with shadowy figures, their eyes glinting like dying stars. With trembling hands, he tried to turn off the console, but it wouldn't respond. The voice returned, now louder, almost a scream. "You must pay the price!" The lights flickered, and Jason's breath quickened. He could feel the temperature drop as a frigid wind swept through the store, rattling the shelves. Desperate to escape, Jason grabbed his phone to call for help, but it was dead. The static noise from the console surged, drowning out his thoughts. Suddenly, the screen went black, and then a face appeared, a twisted, pixelated version of Jason, grinning back at him. "Join us," it whispered, as the lights went out completely. In the darkness, Jason felt the presence of the shadows closing in. Panic set in, and he stumbled backward, crashing into a shelf. The sound of laughter echoed from the console, morphing into cries for help. He realized with horror that the game wasn't just a game. It was a trap, a gateway to something far worse. He lunged for the door, but it wouldn't budge. The shadows now surrounded him, their forms shifting and writhing. The voice whispered again, a chorus of tormented souls. "You belong to us now." Jason turned back to the console, the screen flickering back to life. The twisted version of himself beckoned him closer, eyes glinting with a maddening hunger. With a final burst of energy, he charged at the console and yanked the power cord, pulling it from the wall. Silence fell. The shadows evaporated and the lights flickered back on. Jason gasped for breath, feeling the oppressive weight lift. He looked around. Everything seemed normal, as if nothing had happened. But as he turned to leave, he caught a glimpse of the screen. It displayed a new message. "Game over. You will play again." The next morning, the store was found empty, save for a single console still plugged in. The game Eternal Night glowing ominously on the screen. The townspeople spoke of Jason for years to come, wondering what had happened to him. But deep down, they knew. He was lost in a game that would never end, joining the shadows forever.